All right, hi everyone. My name is Bima. I'm the SVP of Data at Bukalapak. Bukalapak is a Indonesian e-commerce company, or all commerce company. We do more than just e-commerce nowadays. And I look after the data functions within Bukalapak. So today I'm going to talk about how we sort of create our data platform and how we scale it out from the technology aspects and also the people aspect. So yeah. Yes, so first concept that I want to share to everyone is that you're a data-driven company only if everyone looks at data. So you cannot have a company and call it data-driven if only a team inside that company is data-driven. So that is why one of the things that we have done in Buka especially is to ensure that data is within our culture. So in Buka, we have six internal values. So these are company values that we hold true to ourselves and to everyone in Buka. And one of those values is Jangan Baper Lihat Data, which in English means don't be emotional. Just be objective and just look at the data, right? So focus on the data, look at the data, and argue on the data. Don't argue based on your emotions or subjective matters, right? So this is one key aspect, is to make sure that the value of data is engraved within your company culture. So by going by those 2 points, one of the things that we aim to do is to make sure that everybody does data analytics, right? If only an analytics team does analytics, that means you are not a data-driven company. If everybody in your company, everybody from your product managers to your engineers, your customer service people, your business people, all of them look at data and can analyze data, only then you're a data-driven company. And then but as a data team, we have to provide the tools for them to do this. But typically when you democratize things become messy, right? Everybody can look at their own data, everybody can look at create their own dashboards, create their own queries. So typically you get chaos. You get the same data calculated by two different people with opposing values. You get different conclusions. You get a very messy BI layer. So this is one of the challenges working in a company that's data driven, where everybody looks at data, is that it can become chaotic. Just to put in perspective, at Buka, we have about 1,500 people. We have about 1,000 people every month looking at, actually executing queries, and we have about 400 people daily using our data platform. So that speaks to the potential chaos that we have. And our data team is not that big. We only have about 50 people in our data team. So um, this is very much what could happen. Now, one of the principles that I'd like to impose to everyone is keep it simple. Have the fastest path between your production data and the consumers of your data. Do not have long convoluted data pipelines or data systems. Don't have convoluted ETLs. Don't have a lot of dependencies within your ETLs. Make it as simple as possible. All right, this is sort of a very high level way that we view our data architecture. So before there's production systems, but as soon as it lands in the data lake, we use the CDC, we use data flow, we put it in our data warehouse. We're predominantly GCP driven, our data architecture. So we use BigQuery, we use Looker on top of that, and then we have a bunch of access layers. But the important, and we also use Data Hub for our data lineage. The important thing is, do not have lots of dependencies within our ETL layer, and do not make it complicated. Have it as simple as possible. Now, the other thing is also be pragmatic. Batch is okay. Batch, most things are okay. Do not need to be fancy and have like streaming everything. Batch is good because it's simple, pragmatic, it gets you there. Now, the second principle is accessing data should be easy. It should be riding a bike. This speaks to understanding your sort of user base, which means the employees in your company, right? Everybody else is using data in your company. How do they like to access data? What type of person are they? Did they spend their whole life using spreadsheets? Did they spend their whole life coding? Did they spend their whole life, creating marketing content? Those speak to different data tools that you should use to access data. Now, for example, in Buka, we have half, right? Half people are coders, the other half are business people that use spreadsheet day in, day out. That is why we chose Looker as sort of our tool, because it is NoSQL. There is a NoSQL option and a SQL option to access data within Buka. Now, that you should have it so that it's very easy. Now, the reason why you want it to be easy is because This is sort of the data access framework that I'd like to put out. So people, when they look at data, it's typically either breadth analysis or depth analysis. You got to make sure that your platform can satisfy both. Your platform should be able to answer quick questions at a high level, very simply, very quickly, very easily, but also then go deep and understand problems and go down to like row level data and understand that, oh, this transaction was the reason, this event was the reason why this transaction failed, or something. Um, but sort of have sort of two layers there, and we sort of split the tools to do breadth analysis and depth analysis in Buka. We have a few tools that just gives you a quick snapshot of what's going on, right? We have a query bot, we have static graph, which I'll get into a bit more in the next slide. But static graph is sort of our metric repository. That is where most of our metrics get monitored, and it's like the sort of indexing of our key metrics is. We also have a real-time dashboard. These just give you real quick, sort of snappy data for you to understand a very simple problem. But then if you want to understand what's going on behind it, you then go to Looker, you write some SQL, you might spin up a notebook. You have tools for depth analysis, and the combination of the two will get you to a good space. Now, the third thing that is very important is build trust in your data. So data, if not done well, can mislead people, right? And it's very dangerous. And when people get misled by their data, they won't use it again. They will not have trust on your data, and then hence they won't use it. Like, you'll have very low retention within your data platform. So these are the three things that are very key in my opinion. Clear documentation, clear data dictionaries, repositories, everything. Clear governance, you should who should have access to data, what are the rules around using this data, all of that should be clear. Reproducibility also should be clear. And this is the one that it gets understated a lot. When you run a query for a certain date on 2 given days, you should be able to get the same outcome. If you get different outcomes, there's a problem. People won't trust your data if every time they run the thing, it's different, because your data moves, right? This is very key, and it's a sort of a foundation that I think should be everywhere. Now, to do all of this, right? Coming back to keep it simple, you got to centralize your definitions, right? Have one place where all of your data transformation happens. Then you can control it very easily. You can control all of the dependencies, all the transformation, all of that very easily. But if you have more than one place where your data gets transformed, it can very quickly become very messy, because then you have to think about dependencies. You have to think, and especially if it goes in loops, and then you go like, oh, this is dependent on that data set, and that data set is dependent on that data set, and then you'll just die, right? You'll get to a very messy state, and it will be very hard to get out of that state. So if you're building a platform, if you have a somewhat small-ish data platform, make sure you have a central definition for this. For us, it's mostly within Looker for business tools, and Dataflow, and also Apache Airflow for ETLs. That's it. Not allowed to create anything else, right? Because it then keeps it very lean. Now, oh, sorry, jump there. Now, the other part was documentation. Now, this one I call information architecture, data information architecture. Now, and this speaks to, when you go out, typically companies, when they say about a data platform, they create a data dictionary, right? They tell you, oh, okay, this table means this column in that table means that. And it kind of gives you, what's in the data, but they don't really tell you how to use the data, right? I've sort of introduced two extra layers in Buka. There is an insight dictionary and a metric dictionary. Metric dictionary was our static graph. Within the metric dictionary, we already have graphs, like either funnel-wise, or time series graphs, or comparison between two things. It doesn't matter, but it's a clear metric. For example, the transactions over the last 30 days is a metric. You won't necessarily get that in a data dictionary instantly, right? But in a metric, you get that. This is transaction for the last 30 days. This is the TPV or the GMV for the last 30 days. This is user signups. So it gives you extra context when you're looking at your data. Inside dictionary is level above that. This is where you go, all right, during Christmas, transactions go down because it's Christmas seasonality. The demand for our product goes down during Christmas. That's insight. that adds an extra layer to sort of your metric dictionary. Now, if you only have a data dictionary, it doesn't really help your end data users to actually use the data. And then at the end of the day, what they end up doing is they'll just keep asking to the data experts, which in this case is an analytics team or data science team, and then they won't be self-sufficient, and then you're not really democratizing data, are you? So this is what we've tried to do in Buka, to make sure that everybody has the resources they need to go in and find the data that they want, right? And find and answer the questions that they have. So going to that static dashboard, right, the metric dictionary, that is typically the starting point for Buka. So for Buka people, you go in, you open static dashboard, and then you can see, I think now we have quite a few graphs there, maybe in the maybe 1,000 around that. But we have a lot of that. We have a lot of data there. That's where you start, right? I look at transactions over the last 30 days. I click on it. It'll take me to the depth analysis tool, which in this case will be Looker, and I can go deeper. I can go, all right, I want to break this down by payment method, or all right, I want to break it down by user lifecycle. All of that is how sort of you start using data within Buka. Now, the traditional way in most companies, and I've experienced this, I have 10 years I've been in the data world for 10 years, so I've experienced this as well. It's typically you would have like bookmarks on your browser or notepad, and you have like a list of, you have a list of dashboards that you use, right? That people tell you over time. And people have their own individual list, right? And that's okay. But at the same time, that's very dangerous because those dashboards could be very old and not maintained, right? Those queries could be out of date, and the data, upstream data, has changed. Now with this, you sort of want to centralize that action of creating a list. You already have a list of dashboards and graphs somewhere centralized within the company. So then you can just simply use it, right? Um, so that's how we try to encourage. Now the last, sorry, not the last, but one of the other ones is the number 4 is data literacy, and this applies to everyone in the company, not just the data team. Again, you want to have a good balance between, you have to train people in the company to know how to use the tools, right? To have access to the data. So you have you know how to write SQL. B, you actually have a SQL tool that you use to run the queries, right? Maybe a BI tool or whatever. Third is they have to know how to use that data after they write the query, right? They have to know how to structure data and create insights out of data, right? These are the 3 things that we in Buka, we share. We do a lot of knowledge sharing internally. We make sure that we equip the product managers, the business people, to make sure that they know these concepts and they can use the data. Again, if they don't know and you do not equip them, all they do is they'll ask people who know, and then they'll become lazy. And then again, you're not democratizing data again. You're just creating a centralized, like, data service team, which is not really what you want. You want everybody to be self-sufficient, being able to look at data, use data, access data by themselves. So, the expectation is everybody in the company should do, like, we've all seen this, right? We've all kind of we all know this descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive stuff, right? And I've recently changed this to include the predictive stuff. It used to only be descriptive and diagnostic. But you start from the bottom, obviously, but everybody in the company should know how to do this. You should create an ecosystem, both tool and technology wise, process wise, governance and knowledge base, to do all of this. Not by the data team, but by the business team, the product team, the engineering team, everybody in the company. This is what you kind of want to aspire to do, right? And sort of one myth that I sort of want to make sure I put out there, that if you're looking at data, you don't really know what to do, go deeper into it, because this is not how data works, right? Again, the concepts that I have shared are to get to obviously, we all mostly work in corporate. We work for a goal. There could be a good goal behind what you do, but then at the end of the day, your bottom line still has to make sense. So at the end of the day, you use the concepts that I've sort of explained. We've used the concept that I've seen to get the best out of our data. But it's not magic. It takes a lot of hard work, organization, and and you need a lot of discipline to be able to create value from your data. A lot of the times people get mistaken that data is just a good idea, or AI or ML or any sort of data related concept. It's a great idea, but they don't really know what's going on. And that's very dangerous. You have to know what's going on. You have to know what's in your data. You have to know how to leverage your data. Only then can you take the benefit out of your data. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, speed and accuracy is the name of the game. That's what we want to aspire to. That's where we're headed. So you have to create a platform that you can trust, that is high performant, that can create quick insights quickly and can create benefit quickly. But yeah, that's sort of how we've been doing it in Buka.